I'm gonna start this video by saying something like, "Oh, people often ask me or whatever, but I have no audience and no one follows me on YouTube, so that would be a lie." But I'm still gonna talk about it, which is how do I pay for my travels and do I work during my travels and how did I manage to travel for so long, being so young, and am I rich or whatever? But yeah, I'm gonna explain all that to you. All right. Started my traveling with about like 20 grand that I had saved, maybe, which isn't that much. I mean, it could be a lot for some, not a lot for other people, but yeah, around 20 grand. And a marketing job that didn't like, it wasn't a job, it was like just a bunch of freelance clients who didn't pay me like, yeah, they didn't pay me a lot, but it added up to like a K a month. So that's how I started my traveling. And half of that, no, less than that, like 30% of that was put into a consulting firm that actually helped me get the Italian citizenship. So they gave me like a place to stay. If you watch the Village in the Mountains video and the Getting My Italian Passport video, you're going to understand a little bit better. But yeah, so like 30% of that was just into getting the Italian passport, which is, it wasn't the cost of the passport, it was just a cost for the consulting helping me with the passport, right? And also for living in Italy during that time. And then after that, I kept traveling and I started liking marketing less and less. I had a freelance job and I did a few different things. It was mostly like Facebook ads related and spreadsheets related and that kind of thing. But as I liked it less and as my money started running out, because obviously traveling in Europe, unless you're being really frugal and only in Eastern Europe, you're probably spending more than a K a month. So every month I was in the negative and I was losing more and more money to the point where I came up to World Packers, which is just like an opportunity for volunteering. And I started volunteering around and then eventually also got jobs. So I want to talk a little bit more about the volunteerings and the jobs I did as well, because I did freelance during most of my traveling. Like I did work with marketing during most of my traveling. Not anymore. I don't work with marketing anymore as of the moment. But yeah, if you want to just know how I got started, it was working with marketing, saving 20 grand, and going to Europe and spending it all in very quickly, in a very scarily quick way. But yeah, there you go. And so I started working as a volunteer more or less in January, and then changing volunteering as I did. So in January, I worked in Naples with, amazingly enough, it was the weirdest volunteering I ever did. It was also the first one. Uh, thank God I didn't tell my mom about it, but it was very very weird. But overall, it was just like I worked with construction, but also gardening, but also painting. Like I literally just did kind of everything that the guy asked. It was very nice. It was a lovely volunteering experience. That, don't get me wrong, it was weird in the sense that it was just me. Like I was literally like, there was a Italian tradie who lived in Naples, was 65, and who had never done any of those volunteering vibes before. And he just advertised on World Packers, like set up his thing there. And I was like, okay, that could be fun. But he advertised it in a different way, like a more of a, I don't know exactly what happened, but then it turned out that I went there, and there was a house for me. It was very nice. I had a room, all for myself. And then what I did was, yeah, I literally worked with gardening and with construction, like literally like brick laying and that kind of thing, and also painting. But it was like very chill work. I didn't even work every day, and then the days I did, I didn't work for that long. Like the longest I did work was like 8 hours or something, but then very spaced out, and then I wouldn't work the next day or the day before or something like that. So it really wasn't that bad, and most of the time I was working for like a couple hours a day. And then he taught me how to cook, when Neapolitan cuisine is very rich, so that was very nice. So I did that in January, and then February and March, if you watch the me living in a French castle with Buddhist monks video, if you Google that or go to my channel, you should probably find that video because I already shot that. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I was in a Buddhist castle, in a French castle with Buddhist monks, and I worked as a, more or less, it was a little bit of housekeeping as well, but it was mostly like working in the kitchen, helping cook and helping clean the cafeteria, helping clean the kitchen. So that was the second type of job that I did. Then in May and in June, I worked in a hostel in Rome. So I lived in Rome again. So I was going back and forth between places in Italy. Like I lived in the little village that I was talking about. Then I traveled. Then I lived in Naples. Then I traveled. Then I lived in Rome. Then I traveled again. So it had been, yeah, it was a little bit going on and off of Italy. But and then yeah, Rome. Let's talk about Rome. So I was in a hostel there. It was probably the favorite hostel in all of Europe. I mean, I've stayed in a lot of hostels in Europe. I stayed in, I think I've been to like 32 countries, and in those 32 countries, like some of them I would have stayed in a lot of cities. Like just in Italy, I visited some 15, 20 cities, I don't know. So I have been to a lot of hostels in Europe, and the one in Rome that I stayed at, it's yellow, by the way, if you guys care about it. It was so good, and I stayed there multiple times because when I was living in the village and I want to go out to do something, I went to Rome, and then I had to stay in the hostel, of course. And so I stayed there multiple times, and then eventually I applied to volunteer there, and it worked. And I volunteered there for 2 months, and it was great. And mostly it was literally just reception work, and also like party promoting. So yeah, it was very different because like a month I was literally painting and bricklaying, and then the next month I was doing like housekeeping and kitchen work, and then the next month I was just literally responsible for partying, and it was literally allowed for me to drink on the job, and I would give alcohol to guests and that kind of thing. And yeah, reception also, that was a very good vibe, by the way. And so yeah, I did that, and I only actually quit my last freelancing job when I was going to come to Australia. It was like, nah, I'm gonna find a full-time job that actually pays in Australia, that's actually decent, that's actually good, and so that's what I'm gonna do. And so I came here. I should look at the camera. Look at the camera. Yeah. I came here to Australia, and the first job that because I was like, okay, I'm freelancing for marketing and sales, so I might as well like apply for a job in marketing and sales. Who knows? Maybe that works. But then the only job that actually like accepted me was a job that I didn't know about it at the time when I got accepted, but then I found out it was a door knocking job. And so for 2 weeks, I go door knocking around Melbourne, and I just go all around the city, just door knocking, selling. Solar panel installations, selling, what else did I sell? I already forgot. It wasn't even that long ago. Oh yeah, cleaning services. I sold cleaning services as well, and there was some weird energy program that they also sold. But anyway, so I did that for 2 weeks. And it was terrible. It was like winter in Melbourne is cold, and it was rainy, and it was windy, and I was out and about just knocking doors and getting no's all the time. So it was, I mean, it was very fun. Every time when I came back home, I got home really late. Like I got home at like 9 p.m., and I would just tell my parents like, this is what I did today. This is what a guy who said no told me. And like there was even a guy, I heard a story, it didn't happen to me, who actually got out of his house and started chasing one of the salesmen and that kind of thing. So it was a very weird configuration. It was a very, very weird setup in general, but it was fun and it paid me a little bit. It was like, no, this is not for me. I should go back into hospitality. Like, if this is the type of sales job that I'm going to be able to get, because I don't have a formal qualification. So it's a little bit harder to get a sales or marketing job here, I guess. But yeah, if that's the type of job I'm going to work in, I would rather just be a waiter or something. And then last but not least, just now, maybe a couple weeks ago, I got a job. I got a job as a barista, which is fun. Like you get to make coffee. I mean, that's the whole point. Like I wanted to leave home and just do different kind of jobs, and throughout the world, and that's what I've been doing. So yeah, I have a day that I work as a barista, and then for example, now I'm going to work in some events and venues. So there's the AFL finals coming up, September 28th. When you're watching this video, it's already gonna have happened because I schedule videos like months in advance. But yeah, I'm going to work in venues. I'm going to work in venues in events, and I'm going to be pretty much like waiter, hospitality, front of house, generic kind of job, which I had I had a little bit of experience. I had to kind of stretch my experience a lot to get those jobs, but I stretched it and it worked. Should be fine. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be fine. But yeah, so those are the jobs that I've been working as I've been traveling, and they're very diverse to say the least. So because I had the experience of volunteering, I've had the experience of actually working a pay job, I've had the experience of freelancing and working online and working the computer, and they're all very fun. Yeah. No matter which situation you end up having to be in for one reason or another, they're all fun. They're all really nice. So yeah, just go ahead and travel. Don't go with zero, but like honestly, you could start with like 5 grand. Should be enough. Yeah, that's it.